I once waited on a guy who was trying to impress his date. He was ordering the most expensive wine, appetizers, the whole 9 yards. He acted like a big shot the entire night, snapping his fingers at me and demanding faster service. When the bill came, it was around $300. He paid with a credit card. On the tip line, he wrote a huge 0 and scribbled "cash on table." I went back to the table after they left, expecting a stack of bills. I lifted the napkin holder, I looked under the plates. Absolutely nothing. He lied on the receipt, just so his date wouldn't think he was cheap, but he stiffed me completely. I had a table of 12 teenagers who came in for a birthday party. They were loud, threw food, and spilled drinks everywhere. I spent 2 hours catering to their every whim, refilling sodas about 50 times. When it came time to pay, they all insisted on splitting the bill individually. Every single one of them paid down to the exact penny in mostly small change, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Not a single one of them left a tip. One girl actually looked me in the eye and said, "We're students, we can't afford to tip," as she walked out with a brand new designer bag. A wealthy-looking couple came in and ordered a modest meal. The man put a stack of 5 single-dollar bills on the table right at the start. He looked at me and said, "This is your tip. Every time you mess up or don't come fast enough, I take $1 away." It was the most stressful hour of my life. I was terrified to make eye contact. By the end of the meal, he had taken back $3 because I didn't smile enough when I refilled his water. He left me $2 on a $60 check. I felt like a dancing monkey. I worked at a pizza place, and we had a delivery to a literal mansion. I mean, this place had a gate code and a fountain in the driveway. The order was huge, 10 large pizzas, wings, sodas, totaling about $250. It was pouring rain, and I had to make 3 trips from the car to the porch to get everything dry. The guy opens the door, takes the food, signs the receipt, and hands it back. He filled in 0.30 for the tip and said, "Stay in school so you don't have to do this forever." I was literally in college working a night job to pay tuition. The audacity was unreal. This happened last Sunday. A large family came in right after church service, still in their Sunday best. They were super demanding, sending back food because it wasn't hot enough, it was steaming, and complaining about the music volume. When they left, I saw what looked like a $20 bill on the table. I was relieved because the bill was high. When I unfolded the money, it turned out to be one of those fake religious tracts that look like currency on one side but have Bible verses on the other. This one said, "Money is temporary, salvation is forever." That doesn't pay my rent, Karen. I had a guy come in and order just a soup and salad. He ate the entire thing, wiped the bowl clean with bread. When I brought the check, he claimed there was a hair in his soup. I told him I couldn't verify that, since the bowl was literally empty. He started screaming, causing a massive scene in the middle of the lunch rush. My manager, who has no backbone, comped his entire meal just to shut him up. The guy smirked at me, left 0.01 on the table, and wrote "Learn to cook" on the receipt. I don't even work in the kitchen. I worked at a high-end steakhouse. A business guy came in with 3 clients and racked up a $1,000 tab. He was bragging about his bonuses and his new sports car the whole time. When the check came, he paid with a shiny black card. I picked up the slip later, and he had done the math wrong. He tried to leave a 10% tip, which is already low for us, but he subtracted the tip from the total instead of adding it. Then he crossed it out and just wrote "Math is hard" and left nothing. He signed it with a smiley face. We have a regular who comes in and orders hot water with a bowl of lemons and unlimited sugar packets. She basically makes her own lemonade at the table for free. She then orders a kid's meal, she's in her 40s, and complains if we charge her the adult price. She stays for 3 hours using the free Wi-Fi, takes up a four-top booth during rush hour, and leaves a literal pile of wet, chewed-up lemon rinds on the table. Her tip is always the coins she gets back as change, usually less than 40 cents. We all fight over who doesn't have to serve her. I once waited on a fellow server from a restaurant down the street. You would think they would understand the struggle, right? Wrong. She ran me ragged, critiquing my form and telling me how she does things better at her place. She inspected the silverware for spots, sent back her drink twice, and timed how long it took me to bring the check. She left me a napkin with a list of improvements I needed to make as a server and a stiff 5% tip. It's always worse when it's one of your own. A group of influencers came in and set up tripods and ring lights at the table without asking. They spent 20 minutes taking photos of the food before eating it, then complained that the food was cold. They demanded I reheat everything. When the bill came, they asked if we offered a collaborator discount because they were going to post about us on Instagram. My manager said no, they got offended, paid the exact amount, and left 0 tip. On the way out, one of them said, "Enjoy the bad review, hope you lose your job." I had a couple leave their toddler completely unsupervised. The kid was crawling under other people's tables, screaming and smashing crackers into the carpet. The parents just sat there drinking margaritas and ignoring the chaos. It took me 20 minutes to clean up the blast radius around their table after they left. There was mashed potatoes smeared on the leather booth seats. They left a tip of $3 on a $90 bill and wrote a note on the back of the receipt. "Sorry about the mess. Boys will be boys." There was a guy who insisted on paying the bill with a huge jar of unrolled pennies. He dumped them on the table and told me to count it. "It's all there, plus a little extra for you," he said with a grin. I wasn't allowed to refuse legal tender, so I had to stand there and count over 600 pennies while my other tables were waiting. It turned out he was short by about 50 cents on the bill, so there was actually no tip at all. He just laughed and walked out while I was still counting. I served a table that seemed really nice. They were polite, said please and thank you, and told me the food was delicious. They even engaged in conversation and asked me about my studies. I thought I was getting a great tip. When I went to clear the table, I found the credit card slip. On the tip line, they wrote verbal tip. Below that, they wrote, "You are an excellent server and a wonderful person." While the compliment is nice, my landlord doesn't accept wonderful person as a form of payment. We had a promotion where kids eat free on Tuesdays. A family of 8 came in, 2 adults and 6 children. They ordered water for everyone, and the adults ordered the cheapest appetizers as their main meals, so the kids would qualify for the free meals. Their bill was barely $20 for 8 people because of the promo exploit. They left the table absolutely trashed with crayons and spilled water. They left 2 quarters on the table, 50 cents for serving 8 people. I used to work at a bar, and this guy ordered 4 complicated cocktails that take a long time to make. I spent about 5 minutes crafting them perfectly. The total was $48. He handed me a $50 bill. I handed him back the $2 change, expecting him to slide at least $1 back. He stared at the 2 singles in his hand, looked at me, looked back at the money, and slowly put it into his wallet. Then he looked me in the eye and said, "I really need these for the parking meter. There is free parking after 6 p.m. I had a customer who got angry because we ran out of the specific type of bread he liked. I apologized and offered him 2 other types of bread for free. He sulked the entire meal. When he paid, he calculated 20% of the bill, wrote it on the tip line, and then drew a line through it. Next to it, he wrote, $10 penalty for bread shortage. The result was a negative number, so he actually tried to pay less than the bill amount. I had to get the manager involved. I waited on a table of foreign tourists, who I assumed didn't know the tipping culture here, USA. I tried to be extra helpful. At the end, they left a handful of foreign coins on the table. I looked them up later. It was currency that had been out of circulation for years from their home country. It was literally worthless metal. They basically treated the table like a trash can for their old pocket change. One busy Friday night, a guy handed me his credit card to pay. I ran it, brought back the slip, and thanked him. He filled it out, signed it, and left. When I went to enter the tip, I realized he had taken the merchant copy, the one he signed, with him and left me the customer copy. The customer copy was blank. He knew exactly what he was doing. By taking the signed copy, he ensured I couldn't prove he authorized a tip, so I couldn't enter anything. It's a classic scam for cheapskates who want to look like they paid. I once served a lady who asked for everything on the side. Dressing on the side, burger toppings on the side, sauce on the side. She basically reconstructed her meal at the table. She sent the fries back 3 times because they were too salty, then too cold, then too brown. She left me a scratch-off lottery ticket as a tip. She had already scratched it. It was a losing ticket. She literally left me her trash as a gift. I had a table ask for the bill to be split 4 ways. Then they argued for 15 minutes about who ate more of the shared appetizer. Finally, they paid. One of the guys came up to me privately and whispered, "I'm going to put the whole tip for the table on my card, so don't worry about the others." He left $5 on a $200 total bill. He basically took credit for tipping for everyone while stiffing me completely. A guy came in alone, ordered a steak, ate half of it, and then claimed he forgot his wallet. He offered to leave his phone as collateral while he went to get money. The phone was an old, cracked model that wouldn't even turn on. He never came back. Not only did I get stiffed on the tip, but I had to pay for a portion of his walkout bill because of my restaurant's shady policy. People are the worst. I served a group of high schoolers before their prom. They were dressed up and acting fancy. They were super polite, which was surprising. When they left, I saw a huge pile of cash on the table. I went over to collect it, and it was all Monopoly money. They had left about $500 in Monopoly money and not a single real cent. They were laughing through the window as they drove away in a limo. There was a woman who was furious that we wouldn't let her bring her emotional support hamster into the dining room. It was clearly just a pet in a ball. She eventually agreed to leave it in the car, but was grumpy the whole time. She ordered a coffee and a slice of pie. She left a dime on the table, heads down. In some superstitions, that means bad luck. She literally tried to curse me because I wouldn't let her hamster eat with her. I once chased a customer into the parking lot. It was a businessman who had been incredibly rude and demanding, snapping his fingers and making comments about my appearance. He left a penny on a $100 check. I ran out, tapped on his window, and handed him the penny. I said, "Sir, you must have dropped this. I assume you need it more than I do if you're leaving it as a tip." The look on his face was priceless. My manager wrote me up, but it was worth it. A large group came in for a retirement party. They took up the whole patio section. The bill was over $400. The guy paying the bill was making a big speech about generosity and taking care of people. He handed me the credit card slip with a flourish. He had tipped $10. That's 2.5%. When I looked at him, he winked and said, "Don't spend it all in one place, sweetheart." I hope his retirement is miserable. I had a customer write his phone number in the tip line. He also wrote, "For a good time," underneath. I was a 19-year-old male server. He was a man in his 50s. I did not call the number. And obviously my landlord doesn't accept phone numbers as rent payment. The ego on some people to think their digits are worth monetary value is insane.